One. All right. Hey, everybody. Hello, Internet. For all of those of you who are interested in this project and went into it, Mike and I, you can say hello, Mike.
Yeah, hello guys, Mike here.
My name is Ash Thorp, and Mike. And Mike, what's your original traditional name, so people know?
Chinese name is called Zeng XiaoLin, and I think it's hard for people to pronounce it. So you can just call me. My English name is Mike. It's totally fine.
Awesome. Mike and I originally became friends on the internet. Mike was just doing some incredible work, and we were both fans of our work, and we decided to do a tribute together. We didn't know we were going to do Akira. I think we were kind of like testing ideas. I think we were working on a couple other concepts of doing something.
hmm hmm
And we both are big fans of Ghost in the Shell. I think most of you that follow our work, you know we've done a couple of tributes to Ghost in the Shell. Both Mike and I have done them. And we thought, hey, why not try Akira? And I think we were very naive, I think, in approaching this project.
Yes,
uh,
that's really naive. Yes.
we originally decided to do it, and we didn't think it was going to take that much time and effort and work. And it turned out we thought we would get it done in about 3 months, and it turned out to be an entire year. Yeah. And I think the thing that to bring up about these projects is they're passion projects, right? And so you do them
hmm
when you do these passion projects when you're done with client work, when you're done with everything else, and so you just do them with a little bit of time in your life. And both Mike and I are quite busy people, but we really both love Akira, right? It's like
Yes.
it's such a
It's such a masterpiece, right?
yeah, it's a huge masterpiece, and I think as a milestone in our careers,
Yes.
finding this right.
hmm
And so Mike and we're not doing this for profit. We're not doing it for anything other than we just love it so much that we felt like it was worthy of us putting a year's work into. So for those of you that are wondering why we did this, we're doing it purely because we love it, really. So
hmm
and so the behind the scenes in this whole website that you guys are experiencing now is kind of a behind the scenes process of how this all works. And Mike and I wanted to share not only just the film or the tribute itself, but also kind of the process of what it takes to
hmm
make these shots and how difficult it was for us to, and all
Yes,
the
it's quite difficult. Yes.
yeah, we both. I think the thing that I really appreciated is Mike and I bonded, and our friendship got stronger through the experience of it because of the hardships that we endured through the creative process of this project, which is great.
Man.
It's really
Yes.
great. And we got a chance to actually meet in person in Milan at a
Yes.
speaking conference recently, which was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And we got a chance to
Mm-hmm.
release that. For those of you that were there, it was a really great event. So
Yes.
but let's get into the shots because I'm sure you guys are excited to know a little bit more about it. So what we're gonna do in this is we're gonna go through it chronologically through order of the shots, and some of the shots we're gonna go in deeper and some not so much, and we're gonna kind of cover the bases,
hmm
just kind of the things, and it's more or less what we dealt with and how we got through these processes and why we picked the shots and all that kind of fun stuff. So shall we dig in, Mike? Should we go start?
Yes. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so if we go and grab the tribute, and let's go ahead and scroll back here. This is the first shot right here. And we were talking about this before we started recording this video, is ironically, this first shot was one of the last shots we had actually made for it. Do you know how many times we made edits for this thing? How many edits, revisions? We made a lot, right? I think.
Yes, at first we have a long one, right? It's a 2 minutes
Yeah.
edit, but we found it's very hard to execute. Maybe so we decreased the time to 1 minute. But we found it's also very hard
Yeah.
for full 1 minute 1 minute films. And there is a talk. There was a talk in Milan, so we decided to maybe make 13 seconds or 14 seconds for that conference, and that maybe is the end of the project.
Yeah.
So this is the final edit.
Yeah, we use Milan and the talk as a way to kind of push ourselves faster to get it done in time. And
Yes.
so we finished it. And we originally, yeah, like Mike said, our original edit was 2 minutes. I think we actually had one that was 2.5 minutes. And we were
Yes.
very ambitious. But again, you guys got to understand it's just two people doing this, right? And two people doing it like on the off times as a hobby. And so it was just, I think we were over ambitious. And so I think we had done I think we did about 50 different edits, like cuts. I think that's about right. So
Yes.
you're seeing like the thing that you watch here is a culmination of just so many takes and so many revisions, and Mike and I learning how to work with one another and exchanging files and ideas and all that stuff. So when you see this final product, it's gotta you gotta understand that this came from a year of just kind of working at it. And I think we decided, ironically, we were gonna start this shot off. I think with originally I think it was like Kaneda's bike or something. We were gonna do something like that. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many different versions, but I think this fits it perfectly, and I think it fits the score that Anthony or Pilotpriest put
Mm-hmm.
together for this, which I love. I'm super in love with it, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he just did an amazing job. He really accelerated
Yes.
everything. But this is a shot that's a very iconic shot. It doesn't exist in any other film or movie, and I think that's what I think is really special about it, and it's very
Mm-hmm.
iconic
Mm-hmm.
in its nature. I mean, where else in any films do you see a bunch of toys turning into giant teddy bears and stuff and frightening? So I thought that was, I felt like it was a good idea just to throw this in here, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the nitty gritty details and the CGI and stuff, but yeah, just checking out some of the renders and stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Here's some of the original screenshots from the film,
Mm-hmm.
and here's I think we were talking about possibly doing a ceiling, but we wanted to isolate it, right, to not have
Mm.
anything else in the way.
Yes.
And I didn't think we wanted to do like the milk thing because
Yeah, it's hard.
very
I don't know.
difficult.
Maybe we need to use real flow. I don't know. So we maybe just do not to do it.
Yeah, and I think the way that Mike and I learn is we basically go and we fail and we try. And there's so many things that I think we've both learned over the year that we didn't know before this project too. And that's really the beauty of these passion projects is we learn so much about how we do things and we're kind of testing things and failing and learning as we go. But this was the shot. This is kind of the composition that we wanted to do. And then we also really paid close attention to the incredible animation of how things kind of fell apart. And I knew that was really important, but I didn't know personally how we were going to do this. Mike is really accelerated in like finding these problem solving things and really accelerating the shots and getting
Thank
them
you.
done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think what's really cool too is like, there's times when I know that you would hit a creative wall or a wall and then you'd pass it to me and then I would take it and then we would run and then I'd pass it back and forth. And, it was a good collaboration, very healthy. And we're constantly, evolving together on it. It was just a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So, but here's some of the original screenshots. The animation is kind of based on this frame. There's a couple other shots that are kind of close to it. So we wanted to pay as close to homage as possible, and I think that's really something that we should talk a bit about is translating this stuff into CGI. It's a challenge. It's not really something that's easy to do,
Mhm.
and how we kind of approached it and how we came up with the style. And again, I must preface this is that we made this towards the end of production, so we already kind of had the style established. Once we show some of the more behind the scenes on the other shots, we'll kind of talk about how like some of these shots, like I think like this building shot was one of the first. We were like, okay, this is the style, It was one of the first
Yes.
shots was that shot.
Yes.
So, but this one came on later, but it was a lot of fun to execute. Maybe we could do too right now is we can go and talk about some of the files. So I can go into the Cinema
Cool.
4D and maybe you can we can bounce some of the stuff that we learned back and forth between one another and how we kind of dealt with
Mhm.
this file.
Mhm.
Maybe you can start off with how you went about figuring out how to take these toys and then making them form into the teddy bear. I think I made like a ZBrush sculpt for you really quickly.
Yes,
Like a base.
you made a ZBrush bear for me, so then that bear is looking so cute.
Really creepy, very creepy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
creepy, and the way to feel all the toys in that kind of uh, sketch model.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. It's it's quite straightforward. I just put the toy one by one inside the model you made. You can show if you have the original ZBrush model,
I don't know
you
if
can
it's in
show.
here. Is it the standard bear? Is that it?
Yes, it's standard bear. Yes, standard
Okay.
bear. Wow.
Oh, there it is. Look
Yes.
at that sweet sculpture. Yeah, I
Yes.
just gave you like the very rudimentary thing, and I have a lot of like Akira books and like art of, so I had all the like all the drawings and stuff, so I would just make these quick mock-ups for us
Yes.
that were
Yes.
really fast. This is a little bit
And
different because we moved it around, but yeah,
yes.
yeah. Let me get
So
this out of
yeah,
here.
the way is quite straightforward. So I put all the models inside the model that Ash made, and it took me maybe, some time to put all the models in the right position,
Yeah.
because some of the models are well, some of the shapes of that model is kind of uh, out of place. So I need to adjust the rotation or something to make it a form that how to say that is like
Silhouette?
a
Yeah, silhouette.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and it was like you think like moving it manually was the only way to do it, and that's something that we really learned from the process of the making this is that Akira is such a powerful visual like entity that you have to kind of do everything by hand, even in CGI. You can't really cheat it. You have to just kind of do the same way that they did in the past, where they would draw it. You know, I think it's the same way with this. The approach is very much the same. I think which is really hard and it's just challenging, but at the same time, the end result is quite special, I think. And yeah, I think you spend a bit of time putting all the models in based on the silhouette. So we had a plan, and then from once you put it all in here and match the silhouette with the toys. What did you do? Did you run it through like a simulation where you had gravity like
Oh.
negatively affected, or how did you
Oh,
do that?
no gravity, no simulation, just keyframe and
Oh
all the
man.
models
Oh,
and
death. There you go.
and the moves. Yes, and move the keyframe around to make them not that moving simultaneous moving together, just moving more naturally.
Oh man. Yeah, that's yeah. And I mean that's funny because we'll do a lot of those kind of things, and just this is even like let me just find one of the textures or something. Like if we look at the node tree, this isn't that complex. We have a couple textures that are really complex. But like, each shot and each piece and each toy has its own custom texture that we would use. And then for this one, for example, we were using displacement, which kind of drives Octane crazy. Oh yeah, and just letting people know that aren't aware, we're using Cinema 4D. That's our main 3D program. Mike and I both use that, and we love it. We love Cinema 4D, and we also use a renderer called Octane Render by this company called Otomo. That's how we got all the renders done. So a little technical information for those of you that don't know and are curious. And so this is kind of like the node editor for materials. Mike and I texture things a little differently, but the end result's all the same, So yeah, we'll get into some of that later on in it, but it's quite an experience. So like long story short is we have the amazing art that's from the original source material, which is from the it's from the anime, and then we took that, went into into this, and went into Cinema 4D. I made a quick model in ZBrush for Mike to kind of place everything, and then Mike animated and put the toys there. And then we started adding the textures and like trying to get the textures to look really good, and then we'd pass it back and forth and started to do animations on the lighting and getting the lighting look right, and then we pass the file back and forth until we ended up with what you see here. Yeah, and actually, I would say one more thing too is once the renders were done, we would use a program that we love called After Effects. It's an Adobe program, and this is where we do like all our comp and grading and compositing and adding smoke and all extra stuff that is kind of hard to do in CGI, in 3D rendering. Basically, it's kind of difficult, so we end up doing it here. And here's actually the pre-comp for that shot. We were using trapcode form, right?
Yes, trouble form.
Yeah. It's great because it's so cheap on resources. It's not really taxing on the computer, so you can really get a lot out of it. And we could have done this, I think, in cinema, totally. I think we would have been fine, but it's just one more thing for the render to see and deal with. And I don't think we wanted to deal with that, you know? So, yeah, through the production, I think the whole time we were just trying to manage what little resources we did have, which is just our personal computers, basically, and not trying to kill ourselves, you know? So some of these frames, for example, I think I have 6 GPUs tied together between 2 machines. I'm a little bit different than Mike. I think Mike is a little, you got like 2 cards, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, 2 cards. 2 cards is powerful.
Yeah, you got like 2 1080s or something, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I have 3 1080s and then 3 Titan X's. And Titan X's handle like 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is why I have them. Because oftentimes these shots are really heavy on all the textures and the displacement, and the geometry is really dense. And so, but like just to give you an idea, is I think each one of these frames at the full res, which I think is 2K, we have final res, it was like 6 or 7 minutes of frame for just this one. This one shot, and some of the shots got really out of control where they were like 20 minutes of frame and stuff, and it was just really like my machine would just run over the weekend straight nonstop 24 hours, and they would crash, and I'd have to figure out what's going on. And yeah, so we just learned a lot, you know, some very frustrating moments, but I think at the end of it, I'm very, very pleased with what we came up with, and I think it worked out pretty nicely. And we brought it all into After Effects, and then we would, you know, add in some slight color corrections, and let's see if I can get into the effects controls. That's some curve stuff. And then I think it's in here where we, yeah, or in the edit actually.
Yes, in the edit, yes.
Yeah, we would do, I'm a big fan of Sapphire stuff, and so is Mike. Sapphire is they make incredible plugins. Same with Trapcode Form and all that stuff. Trapcode's amazing. But we use like Sapphire stuff. We're going to talk about this right now because all of our shots use them. So if you're watching this in order, we're not going to repeat this stuff. So, but yeah, we use Sapphire, Glow, and Warp Chroma, and just some basic stuff. I'd use we would using a reduce noise plugin too, because sometimes the renders would get really noisy, and so this would kind of help save us on time. And again, it was just it was a matter of managing these things, you know, trying to make sure that we could, you know, not kill ourselves and our computers. So, and and then adding some slight noise at the end of it in the final comp and stuff. But yeah, and I'll also say too, because I know we're going a little out of order here, is we wouldn't do any of these things until we got a base render or edit set in Adobe Premiere. That's what we used for editing. We both love this program. That's what we use primarily for editing. So this is actually a very clean file. If you can only see the files as they look when we're building them, they're just like multiple layers and just very chaotic. And we edit kind of like that, where we're just kind of sporadic and we feel the music and see how it works. And and I learned how to edit a lot based on working on this with you, Mike. It was a lot of fun.
That's great.
It was just fun, you know, it was fun exchange. So we had a lot of fun with that. So, but that's pretty much, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this first shot? And there's a lot of things we covered, but I think.
I think it's okay. I think it's. Yeah, I think we used a fog volume, right?
Oh yeah, we use fog volume too. Yeah. I think we find that like when you're in Octane, it's a very expensive effect. It turns up your renders like 3 times more because you're creating a depth in here, and basically your computer is calculating all the way the light's bouncing around, and it's also creating depth and stuff. And I think we use volume basically through the entire project, which basically sucked because it would just,
Yes.
it was very
The
heavy.
render time is quite long.
Yes, exactly. Right now, I only have 3 of my cards running right now. Right now, it's telling us it's like 7 minutes. I'll run this at full size by hitting the lock button here, and it's going to say like 30 minutes. I'm at adaptive right now in render settings, so yeah, adaptive sampling right now. So it will change and adjust itself, but yeah. So again, it's just like endless stuff. You know, there's so many things that I know that both of us are, you know, learning the process of it and how to use lights and Octane properly. And then, you know, adding the volume is amazing. It creates so much amazing depth, but it's also very finicky and hard to get it right. And it's very tricky, and you can't use like small light sources that are really bright. At least in this build, I think we're both using 3.06.2, and I think at this point they're almost releasing 4, Octane 4 for Cinema. So, and I know I think it's gonna change quite a few things too. So, we're totally dating this project too, by the way, by saying all these things, because, you know, like in a month everything changes. So, but yeah, we use this, and we also in our camera we use like some, you know, we use the crank down the aperture, and, you know, really opened up just the depth of focus and got some nice fine detail on what we wanted you to look at, and then softened out everything else as well to get this surreal look. So, but yeah, and it was also in this, and every one of the files was like, it was a nice challenge to use Dropbox, and then how things would not link up, you know. So we would have to basically final a project or file and go, okay, it looks good, now package it up with everything, and then we would share that file back and forth, and then, oh, this thing doesn't link up, and there's this issue, and it's like working. I'm in San Diego, Mike's in China. We're in completely different parts of the earth, and we're still sharing this stuff back and forth. So I think it's just fun. It's a challenge. There's constant challenges, and it's just again, I'm hoping that when you're watching this, you're just seeing like the amount of insanity that goes into just each one of these shots too. So I think all in all, how long did this shot take? Do you know? You remember this one from start to finish? I think it was like a month or something, a couple weeks.
2 weeks, maybe?
Yeah, I think about 2 weeks, which is really fast for this project, actually. And I think it was because we already had our rhythm. We already knew what we were doing. And I think it kind of worked out together, you know, how everything kind of, I think we already knew what we were expecting, you know, whereas in the beginning it was much more nebulous, and there was all kinds of like, I don't know, maybe this will work or not, I don't know. And, you know, we're doing all kinds of stuff too. So, but yeah, so that's the first shot. So, I think, well, I'm sure we're missing something, but you'll probably catch it in the other videos as you guys watch it. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. And anything else, Mike? Did we miss anything?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, awesome, cool. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next shot.
Yeah, see you guys next shot.